Welcome to Football Focus. Hope you're all having a great day. Before we kick off, if you love football, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Let's dive in. Victor Osimhen's Galatasaray bombshell exposes Chelsea's transfer struggle as wage structure blocks blockbuster deal. Victor Osimhen's transfer story has always been one steeped in suspense, drama, and elite-level competition. From Napoli's determined stand to fend off Europe's top suitors, to a record-breaking deal that has now seen the Nigerian striker head back to Galatasaray, the plot has twisted once more, and Chelsea Football Club find themselves as frustrated onlookers in a saga that says everything about the Blues' new reality in the market. Chelsea had long admired Osimhen. From the moment he lit up Serie A with his blend of explosive pace, aerial dominance, and raw goal-scoring instinct, the Nigerian forward became a dream signing for a club craving an elite center forward. But the cost and complexity of such a deal always loomed large. Now, with Osimhen returning to Galatasaray for a staggering £65 million fee, along with eye-watering wages that place him among Europe's highest earners, Stamford Bridge Chiefs are left with a sobering reality check. It's not just about affording the fee, it's about the ripple effects of fitting such a financial juggernaut into Chelsea's tightly restructured salary framework. According to the official statement released by Galatasaray, Osimhen has signed a 4-year contract running through to the end of the 2028-29 campaign. The deal reportedly includes a 10% sell-on clause inserted by Napoli, a clear sign that future moves involving the striker could come at a heavy premium. But it's the wage packet that truly exposes Chelsea's hands. Osimhen is set to rake in an astonishing £13 million per year in Istanbul. That's roughly £250,000 a week, a figure only surpassed at Chelsea by Raheem Sterling's £350,000 weekly wage. In a dressing room already closely policed under financial fair play constraints and new internal wage caps, such numbers are simply unsustainable. For a club like Chelsea, who have been focusing on squad balance and younger long-term potential with lower salaries, the Osimhen deal represents the kind of move that belongs to a previous era. Under Todd Boehly's ownership, the London Giants have pivoted away from paying astronomical wages unless the player is absolutely central to the club's strategic plans. Instead, they've adopted a more sustainable blueprint, spreading large fees over long contracts and focusing on emerging stars. That shift in transfer philosophy is visible in Chelsea's current activity this summer. The Blues have already splashed over £200 million on 7 players: Jamie Gittins, Liam Delap, João Pedro, Estevo, Dario Isugo, Mamadou Sarr, and Kendry Paez. Each of these players arrives with huge potential and long-term resale value, but crucially, without the salary burden that accompanies stars like Osimhen. It's a pragmatic approach, one designed to stabilize finances, reduce dressing room friction, and future-proof the club's competitiveness. But it also limits their ability to attract the kind of instant impact forward that Osimhen represents. In recent windows, Chelsea had flirted with the idea of bidding for Osimhen. There were discussions, assessments, and plenty of media buzz. Yet ultimately, the same question kept surfacing behind closed doors. Could Chelsea justify the total financial package required to land the Napoli star? His base salary at Galatasaray at £13 million per season would almost certainly require Chelsea to shatter their wage structure or risk dressing room unrest. And that's before factoring in performance bonuses, image rights, and the hefty signing-on fee, reportedly an additional £870,000. Even Manchester United and Arsenal, both long linked to Osimhen, ultimately cooled their interest, unwilling to be dragged into a spiraling financial arms race. In contrast, Galatasaray saw an opportunity and struck decisively. For Chelsea fans, Osimhen's move feels like one that got away. Not because the club didn't try, but because their new transfer doctrine simply doesn't allow for that type of all-in gamble. And it's not just about affordability, it's about logic and long-term vision. In today's Chelsea, players are rewarded in line with role, performance, and potential. The days of blockbuster signings arriving on wages that dwarf the rest of the squad are gone. Only Sterling remains on such a deal, and even his long-term future at Stamford Bridge has been subject to speculation due to the disparity in earnings. Ironically, Osimhen's previous stint at Galatasaray during the 2024-25 season was seen as a temporary solution, but his impact was seismic. His return now for a permanent stay cements the club's ambition to not only dominate Turkish football, but become a serious continental force once again. It also sends a message to Chelsea and their Premier League rivals. Money still talks, but only when wielded boldly and with clarity. The Nigerian's choice is equally revealing. He could have waited out another summer, hoping for a Premier League lifeline. Instead, he chose a club where he is adored, well-compensated, and central to the project. Galatasaray offered him everything: money, status, European competition, and love. Chelsea couldn't offer the same combination under their current system. What the Blues can offer, however, is a future built on talent, depth, and consistency. The pursuit of Yoel Hato, the Ajax wonderkid valued at $34 million, reflects that. So does the ongoing interest in Xavi Simone, a versatile playmaker who could revolutionize Chelsea's midfield. These are players who fit the new Chelsea vision: young, dynamic, hungry. Osimhen's blockbuster wages are also a signal to other agents and clubs watching the market. They set a new bar, and Chelsea's refusal to match it confirms their unwillingness to engage in wage inflation that can damage squad harmony. There's also a broader footballing shift to consider. As elite players increasingly move away from the Premier League in favor of lucrative contracts elsewhere, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, even MLS, clubs like Chelsea are having to recalibrate their appeal. The allure of London, Champions League football, and Premier League spotlight still carries weight, but money matters more than ever. And in Osimhen's case, the balance tipped decisively in Galatasaray's favor. It leaves Chelsea needing to look elsewhere for their next striking solution. Nicholas Jackson remains part of the plan, while others like Christopher Nkunku are expected to play more advanced roles in Pochettino's evolving system. But a pure number 9 of Osimhen's quality, that's harder to find, and even harder to afford. The failure to land Osimhen may sting now, but in the context of Chelsea's wider rebuild, it might also be a blessing in disguise. Dodging financial traps, maintaining control over wage dynamics, and focusing on players who align with the club's structure is a smart, if not less glamorous path. It ensures longevity, avoids panic buys, and builds to a balanced squad where no player's influence becomes financially disruptive. Chelsea's transfer reality is no longer about winning headlines. It's about building a dynasty that can win trophies and sustain itself in the face of UEFA's increasingly harsh financial regulations. That means passing on players like Victor Osimhen, regardless of how tempting the prize may be. Galatasaray's gain is Chelsea's test, not of their ambition, but of their restraint. The Osimhen deal is not a failure of Chelsea's boardroom, it's a confirmation of a new philosophy, a rejection of the old chaos that saw record fees shelled out for misfiring strikers and underwhelming returns. In the end, Victor Osimhen's Turkish return isn't just a signing, it's a symbol of how elite football is changing, how stars are now choosing clarity, comfort, and compensation over clout, and how Chelsea, once the aggressor in the transfer arms race, are now building differently, wisely, strategically, and with an eye on the long game. Thank you so much for watching our video. For all the latest football news and analysis, be sure to subscribe to the Football Focus YouTube channel and stay with us.